Hi everybody, it's Melissa Whitaker. I'm coming back to you today to talk about something that I see as a big challenge this year for a lot of sales professionals. You know, going into 2021, I hear a lot of people say, Melissa, things have changed. You know, we're still going virtual from last year. So we're still continuing that virtual model. In some instances, we can get out and see people, but a lot of times we're still on a virtual selling platform or virtual selling model. Now, with that change comes challenges. And with those challenges that we even experience in the selling process, our buyers are equally frustrated with the fact that in some cases we can't come and see them, or we can't see something hands-on. And because it's virtual, some things are missing. Okay. So the reason why I want to reach out to you today is about one of those responses we got. All right. So the key topic that I want all of you to know from a sales professional standpoint is, are we connecting properly or are we not connecting properly with potential clients and buyers? And frankly, where are we missing the boat? Because we can't modify our style if we don't know what the feedback is or where there are gaps. Are there areas that we're not stepping up to the plate or finding a way to connect and build trust with our clients or prospects the way that we're supposed to this year in 2021? Okay, there was a report slash study, I guess you can say, that we looked into here for the beginning of this year here at MWI. And one thing we found really interesting and frankly alarming, not surprised, but I guess surprised at how drastic or dramatic this gap is for people, that buyers are saying this is frustrating. And I don't know how many salespeople know what are the top frustrations of the buyers and clients this year. And here's one thing I want to share. So in hopes that you can make a modification in your style, your authentic selling process, to step up to that plate and bridge this gap so that you can increase not only your sales this year, your revenue and your profits, but ultimately so that you can actually be that solution provider for people who are looking for your services. Okay, so I'm going to read a few things to give you some specifics, and then I'm going to go over some suggestions. Okay, so one thing we saw in the study, it says when interacting with sellers virtually, so this was presented to buyers, all right, decision makers. When interacting with sellers virtually, what factors have the greatest influence on your purchase decision? Okay, and 71%, that's a very high percentage, 71% of buyers, decision makers said, I really find that the most pivotal thing that I'm looking for are sales professionals who can lead me through a thorough discovery of my concerns, wants, and needs. Let me read that again. I really want to partner with a sales professional and therefore an organization who leads me through a thorough discovery of my concerns, wants, and needs. Now that's the info we got for what their wants were. Then we proceeded on, and the study actually goes on to say, well, from those same people that gave that response, they said, okay, well, how often do you feel that's happening? And I want you to listen to this. How often is that happening? Are sales professionals and therefore companies leading you through thorough discovery of what their wants, needs, and challenges are? And shockingly, they said only 26% of buyers believe sellers are skilled at. I want to emphasize that. Only 26% of buyers believe sellers are skilled at leading a thorough needs discovery virtually. Okay, now that may mean that if you're going in person in some cases that it's better. I sure hope so. But here's the thing, gang. Did you know that? Did you know that we are missing the boat and potentially losing out on a large amount of sales and opportunities because we're not diving in deep? We're not understanding. Now, when I hear that, I want you to know we cover and go over something called the psychology of the buyer. All right, that entails where we kind of break down how people are wired and what are the clues on how people are wired, and therefore what are their expectations of us as salespeople. Now, we need to know that, because if we don't modify and adapt our selling, our authentic selling style, though, that meets someone in the middle and communicates in a way that's respectful to who we're talking to, if we're not doing that, that's the first level, in my opinion, where we're not bridging that gap. Okay, we're not building trust faster. We're not building relationships. And frankly, we're probably pissing more people off and we don't even realize it, right? And the second part of that, I find, is I could see where it's definitely more challenging in the virtual arena, that we're still having to do a lot more this year. Because let's face it, if you're in sales and you are used to seeing people, having a conversation where you can see them and have their nonverbal communication, you can see what their nonverbal communication is, I should say, and their verbal communication. You can see their body language. You can see if they understand or not. You can see if they're pissed off or not, right? But sometimes virtually, we don't always pick up on that. Now, sometimes in the virtual world, it may be a phone call and we haven't tuned in our listening skills for those indicators. And other instances, we may be on Zoom and we are concerned about maybe going over some information with them and not always tuned into their facial expressions that they may have on the webcam. All right, so I'm just bringing this to your attention, gang, because I want you to be intentional about understanding the psychology of your buyer, number one, and we can help you through that if that's something that you're not sure how to do. You're not sure why some people are, maybe you offend some people in your style, and other times you connect really well. And if you don't understand that, we can help you through that. We can give you what's called our DNA decoder, and it's fabulous. All right. But number two, we're adding now that virtual element that does make it trickier to things that we have used in the past, perhaps, that has made us more successful in making that connection, and maybe even visually observing what their style is or how they're wired. And now we have to maybe use some different senses, or maybe patience, be more aware, more visually observing. There's a lot more that goes to that. All right, so I just want to reach out today to give you that insight. We have a lot more insights that we can share with you, but today I just want to share with you one critical obstacle that I see people encounter. Now, I'm going to give you a little example on this too personally, all right? Now, we're all in different industries. Everyone's sale has different kinds of sales that they do, of what they consult on and what they help on. I'm going to give you one of my personal ones that I experienced over this past week that shocked me, I guess, and how I felt about that engagement. Now, in this particular case, it was not virtual. It was actually in person, but it reminded me how often I think sometimes sales professionals aren't observant and don't understand what's critical in building trust with a buyer. Okay, so I'm gonna give you this quick example so you get it, right? So one thing is, over this last week, I drive currently right now a Mercedes SUV, and we were having some maintenance issues on it. And my husband said, hey, we're going to fix the maintenance issue, and perhaps you keep it and everything's fine. I've had it for a little over 3 years. Or he said, you have had it for a little over 3 years. Do you want to look at other options? Maybe a newer version of your vehicle if you really love it. Or do you want to look at some other options that are also available with new technology, right? What's come up? What's happening? Maybe some new things that are available now you didn't have before. And I said, sure, let's just take a look, right? So we went to 2 different dealers. And the first place we stopped by, my husband happens to know the person, they're friends, and that could have played in the dynamics, I don't know, right? But I thought this was interesting. So the whole time we're having a conversation about what option of another car, newer version of my current one or something different, right? The sales professional in this case addressed my husband the entire time. Even though we made it very clear, hey, this would be a car for me. This person happens to know I'm a little bit more independent and assertive, so that kind of shocked me a little bit. And even when I shared a little story about something that was important to me, about an automobile or a vehicle. It was kind of played down, and this sales professional shared a story that frankly was kind of had a negative kind of connotation or whatnot, and I was kind of a little taken back, right? So anyone who knows me knows I'm a driver, right? I am a fast decision maker. I'm confident in what I want, what I don't want, and my decision-making style. Now, some people know that well and some people don't, right? But that's a little bit of the psychology of me as a buyer. So I'll be honest, we left there and everybody has a different experience, right? So I shared with my husband, wow, that wasn't a great experience. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, well, first of all, if I choose to get a different vehicle, I'm the buyer. I'm the decision maker in this case, right? You're not. So the sales professional was addressing you the entire time, never once asked me, and we're talking about discovery, needs, wants, challenges, right? Never once looked at me and said, hey, Melissa, this would be your vehicle. What are your must-haves and your nice-to-haves? What kinds of things are important to you in a vehicle? What kind of other options would you maybe would consider? What should I start looking at, right? Instead, he asked my husband, so what would you guys be looking at? Or what do you think would be good to consider? As I'm sitting like right next to my husband, right? So I was a little taken back. I was a little shocked. So we left there and I shared that with my husband. And again, he didn't see any of it. He was oblivious to it, which happens. But I said, hey, I left there not feeling seen, heard, or understood. I was frustrated, frankly, a little bit angry that I wasn't given any kind of respect. And somehow maybe was implied that I wasn't the buyer. Right? I don't want to get into what that may be. All right. But let's not go down that road. So here's a different example. After that, my husband was shocked and he was like, holy cow, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. I apologize. And again, it's not his fault. He's not the sales professional consultant. So we go to another dealer for me to drive, another possibility for a test drive. And I want to make sure it was very clear when I was there, this would be my vehicle. And ultimately, this sales professional has to either find something that I like, finds out what I like and want and need, and then actually, no offense, caters to me. And even though we're a couple, for sure, I am pretty particular about my vehicles. Now, maybe not all women are, and I know guys are known for being into vehicles. I'm very much so into my vehicles, right? It's important to me what I drive. It's important to me for what it means to me, that I also love it, and it is everything that I know what I want in a vehicle, and frankly, what I can't live without, things like that. It's important. So we go to this next dealership and we both walk up. My husband and I both assertively and boldly, we both shake this gentleman's hand and introduce ourselves, and he introduces himself, and we let him know what we're looking for, right? And as we're starting to look around and he directs us to where in the lot we may find some of these things and where we can actually maybe do a test drive if we'd like, he was a little bit more attentive. It was a little more attentive. It was a little more attentive to me, all right? Not just addressing my husband. I liked that, and I shared that with my husband as well. So we go for the test drive, and then right before we leave, I look at him and I say, John, listen, I want to be very clear. While we're gone, this is what I need you to look for, because the car we're driving didn't have everything I was looking for, but it was the make and model that I was willing to consider. And so I was going to feel it out. But I said, it has to have this, 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 and this. And let me be very clear. This would be my vehicle. So you have to make me happy. Is that clear? He was like, oh, I got it. I got it, Melissa. Right? A little different experience. So he goes back, and we come back. We're talking to him, and what does he do? He addresses me and answers my questions first. He also looks at my husband for respect for both people that were sitting there, but he addresses and answers things to me because I made it clear I'm the decision maker for this situation. Now, when my husband's buying a car, he's the decision maker there, right? So I'm not saying it's just one way. When he's looking for something, he's in the driver's seat for that. What do you want? It's your choice. When I'm in the driver's seat because it's my vehicle, it's my choice, right? So it made me think about this, probably because of the field I'm in. And I teach sales training and consulting and sales leadership and consulting as a living. I'm always observing. And I also use those as teaching lessons to me. How did someone or a situation make me feel? And did I like it or not like it? And then I have to look at it and say, am I doing the things I like? am I doing that or applying that for my clients as well? Now, again, I want to be clear. Just because I like it a certain way, I'm not saying every one of my clients is the same. They all are wired differently. And it's my job to understand how they're wired, how they buy, and what are they expecting from me as a salesperson, sales professional, in my authentic selling style, but am I adapting to meet them in the middle and be respectful in my approach? That's my responsibility. And see, guys and gals, when that happens, we build trust faster. And when trust and relationship is built, especially in this day and age where we're virtual and we have more challenges and we've come off of a year like last year, it's even heightened. We need to make sure we're making that connection. Are we making the connection? Are we doing that? Because if we do that, guess what happens? Your sales skyrocket. They go up. You make more sales. Therefore, you have more revenue, more profit, and everybody wins, right? Because you connected your solution to their needs, wants, and challenges. And they liked perhaps the way you engaged them and the way you met them and you built trust for them and you connected with them. And therefore, everybody's happy. It's a win-win, right? I am not for win for the salesperson and not for the client. And I'm not for win for the client and not for the salesperson, right? It has to be a win-win all the way around. It absolutely has to. So I'm sharing this example, you guys, because sometimes we need real world examples. And I want you to think about that today. When you're engaging every day in your world and you're in the buying seat, but you also happen to be a sales professional, observe your feelings. Observe how did you feel about that engagement? Do you feel that the person took the time to even care enough to ask you what you want? Did they dive deep enough, or did they just find one thing you wanted or one challenge you have and then all of a sudden tried selling to you, which is a no-no? Or did they actually uncover and do a really good discovery of your needs, wants, and challenges, and you felt seen, heard, and understood, and therefore you're getting this great solution, right? I just want you to think about that. And when you're doing that yourself in your life, you can apply it then regularly in your sales as well, and it can make you that much more impactful and effective. Okay, so I'm going to close up. That's just a real quick video today, a little tip today, right? Understand your client's needs, wants, challenges, and also desires. And are you doing a good enough job of leading them through that process? Because I'm going to finish off with reminding you, buyers this year, this study was done, right? Into the beginning of this year, buyers were saying, a sales professional who leads me through a thorough, and that's a key word, thorough discovery of my needs, wants, and challenges. That is the number one thing I'm looking for in partnering with organizations or people, sales professionals, right? 71% of people said that's what isn't the most important to them. And yet they said only 26% of the time they feel like they get that. That's a huge gap, and that's a huge opportunity for all of us to step up to that plate. So I hope this finds you well today. And I hope you have a great day today and start implementing that and start being aware of that. Start being intentional about that and watch your sales soar this year in 2021. And whether that's in person or virtually, you have to be even more in tuned. And if you do that and you apply these things, your sales will soar. Hope you have a great day, and I'll be signing off, but I'll be talking to you soon. This is Melissa Whitaker from MWI. You can always reach out to us if you have more questions or challenges you want to discuss. We can be reached at 847-845-4922. That's 847-845-4922. You can also send us an email at info@melissawhitaker.com. So it's Melissa Whitaker. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.